Yeah, it doesn't seem to be really picking any. There we go. Now we're in business. All right. So, welcome everyone. I am Chris,
And I'm Petrie.
and welcome to the 100th edition of the New School Republic Wrestling Podcast. Holy heck.
That's what we're calling it now.
Yeah.
All right, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's go for it.
I can't believe it's 100 already.
Oh, it took like 10 years.
I know, literally. We should probably be like 500 by now, but honestly, I don't know. I just felt like we've definitely taken our time with things, you know?
Sure. Take our time. Yeah. We'll go with that.
But, I mean, the reality is, though, I feel like some podcasts are doing like 2 or 3 or more a week, and I think that's just too much.
That's a lot, and sometimes, that's like all they do. But like
It
you
is.
gotta think about like all the stuff that we've done, outside the podcast, which has been like, a pretty neat, journey along the way.
It has been. I agree. And I'm looking. I mean, when I compare us to other shows, I think we're different just because we have one or two topics. I mean, tonight's gonna be different because it's like it's a 100th anniversary show. But compared to other ones, like some of the shows, they have like 60 topics. I'm not kidding. Like it's insane what they cover. Some of these different shows. But anyway, here we are. We're at 100, and I'm really proud of that.
Ta-da!
I know. Here we are. But there's a lot going on in wrestling.
Oh, is there ever?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing to cover is to talk about first is that AEW.
Yeah, I mean, or they announced several new shows
Mm-hmm.
in the last couple of weeks. So that's good. That Fighter Fest looks pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, they have that. This Double or Nothing's going to be taking place. There's other
That's coming up soon.
Yeah, there's other shows throughout the summer, and looks like they're trying to get a TV deal in October. But
Yeah, Fight for the Fallen and TNT.
well, I'm hearing that. But here's the thing, though. I would like to actually email them to see like what if I can get any information about it, because I don't really believe much. Because everyone's saying this, they're saying that, and then they're saying they have to pay to play kind of thing, and I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know about that. I really would like to find out what the truth is. They don't have to email me back or not, but hey, it's worth a shot. Because
Right.
there's no point of me or you just sitting there talking about, well, this is what they said online, because we don't know if that's true or not. Everybody can just type in what they want and say that, and the news and rumors fly up on different websites, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, all the time, Twitter. So I mean, you can't really rely on that.
Yeah, everyone wants to be first, but no one wants to be correct.
Exactly. So I'd really like to be correct. Now, just hypothetically, let's say they have to pay to get on TBS. Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. I really don't.
No.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
waste the
it's
money.
not good either.
Yeah, I mean, I understand they're trying to get like a feel for it. They're trying to bring back, I guess, you could almost put it in a sense that they're trying to reestablish an old feud. They're trying to get familiarity with it by being on TBS. But I mean, if you have to pay for it, there's no point. I would just move on because it's a waste of money, and I really understand that you're going to have to spend money to make money, but there's smart ways to do it too, and I don't think that's the best way. I think I would think WGN would probably want them because they had the All In pay per view pre-show, a few months ago. So
Paying for a show on a network like that, wasn't that one of the things that killed ECW?
yeah, I think so. I mean,
Right. Trying to get on TNN.
yeah, I mean, and most recently, Ring Warriors, they did this. They paid to be on WGN, and they were on there for a few months, and then that was it. The funding ran out, so they're on, I think, Amazon Prime, they said, but I never really checked the look. I never even watched the show because I wasn't really that interested. But that's just an example of
Yeah.
saying that they're going to be on network, paying for it, and then money runs out eventually. So, I mean, there's deep pockets here with this Khan family. I don't really know much about them, but I know from what I've been watching through these press conferences and what they're talking about, that it seems like they're going to be cautious, but they're still going to blow a ton of money. I mean, you can already see Jericho, Ross, Rhodes. I mean, they're taking the money, man. I mean, that's and then good for them, but in the same sense, it just to me, it's like watching WCW again. I mean, there's the same thing. I mean, it's instead of Dusty, it's his son now doing it. So
Right. I am kind of curious to see one of these contracts.
I am too.
Yeah,
I like to see like how much it is. Is it really what they're gloating about? Is it huge? I read
I
it.
like to see what it would take to get out of it too.
Yeah, yeah, that would be interesting. It seems like they're flexible from what I'm hearing. Like they'll let some of these guys work elsewhere, but um, I think when push comes to shove, someone's going to lay down the fist eventually. It's not going to be willy nilly forever. But
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this all started pretty much on a bet. I think it was Dave Meltzer saying that Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks couldn't fill an arena, and they end up filling 10,000 seat arena um, with All In Chicago last summer. They love these they love their I guess national holiday pay per views like Memorial Day, Labor Day. It's all coming up, which is great.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so like last year they won that bet. But I heard also a lot of this was helped by Ring of Honor too. Like they really pitched in and helped with the production and all that. So
Oh yeah, no doubt,
and
no doubt.
I'm sure it was
New
on.
Japan too.
Yeah, New Japan. I'm thinking it was pretty much a financial loss if I would have to look at the books and everything. But it was a statement saying that they can do it. And it was the first time I think since like 1993 or four, they a non WCW or WWF pay per view.
Was that Battle for LA?
Yeah, I think so.
So,
So that's pretty interesting. It's neat to see where this is going to go. Um, I just don't know if it's going to. The problem I have with it seems like a very niche audience where it's like they're catering to the internet crowd and the diehard fans, which is great, and those are the people that aren't going to leave you unless your product's horrendous. You really have to make some strides, like that other company we don't talk about. But I don't know if it has to be more for everybody else too. So I mean, from what I'm seeing of the roster, I'm seeing guys that are probably going to retire in a few years, and I'm seeing some other guys that no one's ever heard of, and that's fine. But I'm seeing people that are cruiserweights too, and I'm not seeing any heavyweights really either. So I don't know what the plan is for that. Hopefully there is one. But so far I'm like, yeah, you need another 15 guys or so to kind of even this out.
right.
But I mean, it's still not in stone yet, and they're signing people as we probably are speaking. So
Right. I saw that there might be some rumors that AEW might be signing Wardlow.
oh well, there you go.
Right. I mean, there's your heavyweight right there, guys. If you don't, people are listening at home. Stop what you're doing. Stop, stuffing those envelopes. Stop checking your email. Go on YouTube and look up Wardlow. I mean, he is he's got a good look. He's got good moves. I wouldn't say he's charismatic, but he's a badass for sure.
He's probably young enough, probably like what 30 or so.
Oh, he's very young. Oh
yeah.
yeah, probably late 20s, early 30s. Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt.
I mean, pretty much. I think you have a lot of time in wrestling. I think probably the cutoff is like the later 40s where you can really start, unless you don't take care of yourself. You can probably call it a career. But I mean, so yeah, if you're early 30s, you got a lot of time. So that's great. Or late 20s. But yeah, they need just maybe 10 or 15 heavyweights. I think they need some more names. They just announced that Dustin Rhodes is going to wrestle Cody Rhodes. Is one of their feature matches, and that's okay. But I don't really care about the Rhodes family. For them to focus and be the center of this whole company. So that's another problem I'm having watching it. I'm like, I don't really care. So what are you doing to make me interested in other ways? I mean, they have the Omega, Chris Jericho feud and some other things, but I'm not really seeing that, oh, we've arrived thing. I feel like they need something bigger. I mean, physically they need bigger wrestlers, but they also need like some top names that are really going to get.
I think bigger names.
Yeah, you got to do something. I mean, Jericho's fine, but he's in his 50s or he's just turning 50, and I like him, but I don't really care that much. So what else are you going to do to get the fans interested? You got to get some more names. I mean,
well, you look at some of the names in the over the budget battle royale.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I think the only name that's really recognizable at that point was Brian Pillman Jr.
Yeah, I mean, they need some more people. And
for sure.
And I know there's a lot of new people too, and that's fine. And I'm sure I'm sure they're considering things. And they just added Jim Ross to the commentary team, so I'm thinking that they'll eventually get some more guys. I mean, there's some more surprises I'm sure at hand, but the surprises I'm seeing and the signings I'm seeing, I'm not really that impressed. I'll be honest. I saw their whole press conference originally in January when they announced, And it looked cool, and it has that big feel, and then they had their other press conference, I think like a month or so later, um, revealing some more things. But I don't know. I mean, they're in the MGM Grand. That's huge, and that's great for a new promotion. I mean,
Right.
they're doing things like TNA and the XWF and Major League Wrestling and World Wrestling All Stars that pretty much couldn't do when they started up. And other companies that started and failed real quick. Um, so they're making waves that way, but I just don't know if they've got all the pieces yet, and they probably don't need to. But I mean, we're gonna really see after the first couple pay-per-views, what the direction is. I mean, I just don't see them on TBS. I don't know. I think that's a little bit far-fetched because it's hard to promote a company that you don't really have any track record with. You can't really show advertisers anything about your company except one show. And if that was heavily produced by like another company with not your whole roster, then it's hard to sell a show. I mean, look at Global Force. They had like a nice, well organized, 10 episodes or so, and they couldn't get anywhere. I mean, I'm sure there's other reasons for that, but they had a nice looking, package set up, but they couldn't even get on TV. So I don't know. And
Uh,
it's hard. It's like, is there a demand for wrestling anymore on television, or is it more like an internet thing now? I mean, Fox is paying huge money for WWE.
that's the catch, though,
Yeah,
too. I mean, like live sports is at a premium now. There's a lot of people. That's the main reason people aren't cutting their cable.
yeah. So I'm thinking like somebody's got to like be interested, but I don't know. I would think WGN. Like to me, that was who I thought would probably put them on, and that's a respectable company, and that's a start.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know where else. I mean, maybe I don't know who else would take them, but it's so different now because like when WCW went down, they couldn't find TV and it was all TV. And if they had a streaming service now, imagine that. Like if that was just kind of starting back then, they would have survived probably. Or if they would have had another option, but there really wasn't any option. It was just all TV. But now there's so many different options that a pro wrestling company, in theory, they don't really need to be on television so much to get interest. I mean, it helps. It definitely helps, but they can a lot just do the internet shows and stuff. And they sell their DVDs and their merchandise and their live events. Seem to do all right.
Right. I think you could find like a. I think you could find an advertiser that could like really just like fall head over heels in love, with AEW. I think like one of those like other company. You listen to other podcasts and they're rocking something. I think you can find like that's a good way to drum up money too. Think like Dollar Shave Club. I think
Yeah.
for example. I like they hit the advertising pretty hard, but I think if they actually had like a show, if they actually put their name like out on TV
Hmm.
with that, I think that would be great. I think that's a good thing for everyone.
I was surprised they didn't try to get like CM Punk. I mean,
Like apparently he did something at an indie show.
yeah, there's rumors of that, and then they had Silas Young saying he was backstage and he was there, or whatever. But I don't know. Unless I see the face on the screen, I don't believe it.
That's true. Yeah.
And they can just start that.
It's 2019. We're 8 years after him winning the title at Money in the Bank. I
Hmm.
mean, come on, come on, win something, guy.
I know.
Like I have this little like micro brawler at my desk. I keep him flipped upside down. I have him on his head. Only when he wins something. I did flip him right side up when he won that court case with the Cabana. Then Cabana sued him. Then like right back on his head he went.
I don't understand like why Cabana sued him though. What happened there? Do you know? I don't
They
know.
were Punk promised Cabana that he would pay his legal fees because
Uh,
Punk obviously has the money, and Punk reneged.
mm,
And now, unfortunately, one of the hardest things that Punk's lawyers had to prove was these text messages between him and Anon. What was the doctor's name?
sounds like that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the good doctor.
Another
Dr.
doctor.
Z-Pack. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
just call him Dr. Z-Pack. and they had a hard time proving that, but eventually Punk won.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently Cabana learned, and he saved a lot of those messages. So
Okay. Well, it's interesting. Like WWE always seems to have problems with their doctors, like that Zahorian guy and all that. It's like, geez,
was it Zahori?
Zahorian was the original one from the drug and steroid scandal of like the '90s.
I know there's another doctor with a Z, but I don't wanna look it up.
I don't blame you for that.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. I remember like hearing those podcasts. He talked about that so much. Like, he like pretty much laid it out on the um Cole Cabana podcast. He was talking about that,
Yeah.
about the doctor and everything. It was like, whoa.
Yeah, that was pretty heavy. That made me feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things where I don't believe like they're 100% clean. Like that whole company. I just don't. Yeah, it was Doctor Man, but
Man. Okay.
but yeah, I don't know. I don't think that place will ever be clean. Just looking at some of those guys, they're still doing something.
Oh
But
yeah. Everyone wants to leave.
yeah, well, I mean, this is interesting now too. With AEW starting up, I mean, there's some deep pockets somewhere else now, and there's another option again. And I think it's making a lot of other companies step up too. Um, MLW, I know, signed like the Hart Foundation to contracts, um, and I'm trying to think who else. I mean, Impact, who cares? But they just chase their tails as usual. But there was another company that was signing up people too, like New Japan, Ring of Honor. That was it. They were signing guys. So it's like, in a way, if they all combine and make one super company again, they could do it. But I think it's all going to be like working relationships now. I think everybody's going to work with somebody just to survive.
I think working relationships are fine. Don't start that super company.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Well, I
It's
think
not going to work. Like
what.
New Japan tried to work so hard to get their brand,
Mhm.
across the water and here in America, and a big part of that was Ring of Honor. AAA has had a hard time cracking the United States, just as much as WWE had a hard time cracking Mexico. To be honest.
Well, and I watched AAA. We got it on the Amazon stick now. It's on the Pluto, um, I guess network, whatever it's called, over there. And I was watching it. It's not very good. I'll be honest. I watched AAA, and I was like, ooh. I mean, it's honestly like watching, almost like your local independent show. No offense or anything, but like with guys that are just kind of starting out or not really that great. Yeah, it's like that. I was very shocked. I was like, wow. I was expecting so much better from them, but I mean, now, granted, I'm not watching anything newer now because they're replaying stuff from like the mid 2000s. But from what I saw, I was like, ooh, too much talking, too much entrances, not a lot of wrestling that was really that great. I'm not seeing like the Rey Mysterio Psychosis kind of matches. I'm just seeing like a lot of junk. But I'm sure it's better now. I hope it's better now. I mean, they're running MSG in September, so it's got to be a little bit better.
Man, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
the Triple Mania Botchamanias are always really good.
yeah. I mean, we'll have to sit down and watch the Triple Mania one time. I always try to watch them like when I'm getting ready or doing something or I'm taking a break, but I don't get to see it all the way through because they'll replay the Triple Manias, but yeah, when you pick up on it, might not be from the beginning, but yeah, I feel like you really learn your craft in Mexico because hey, you can only go up from there. I think, at least in AAA. But yeah, I mean, we've had a historic year. I mean, Ring of Honor and New Japan ran Madison Square Garden. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
huge, and it's not like the theater. They ran Madison Square Garden, the main arena. Because everybody runs the theater. That's nothing new. But
right.
they were in there. They were, I guess sold out. It looked like it was sold out to me. I mean, maybe not, but it was pretty awesome. It was just nice to see something else in there. You get sick of seeing Vince and his gang in there.
Well, also, I mean, WWE kind of gave up on the Garden. It's like, oh, we're gonna go to these nicer arenas, but oh, we're gonna always have something special in the Garden. We never treated the Garden special. That's the problem. You went running across the way to Brooklyn.
Yeah, and I think their problem was too when they stopped doing the anniversary for Manias there. I don't think that was
Yeah.
that would that's kind of
Yeah, or tell you what, if you were
kind of wrong.
worried about doing like not selling enough tickets for WrestleMania in one night. Well, hey, there's your WrestleMania weekend right there. You split the show in half. Boom, you're set. You're golden.
Yeah, I do think their show probably needs. I mean, from what people were telling me in all these matches, there's just too much. You need 2 days. I really think you do.
Yeah, it was a lot. I
Yeah.
was all excited to rip off Mitch Hedberg. It was kind of like pancakes. You're all excited at first, but towards the end, you're just fucking sick of it.
Yeah, I think it's just too much. I mean, you can only sit there and watch so much wrestling. Now, if it was like the Super Bowl of wrestling, like people wanted years ago, I could see that, where there's a couple companies together having a big blow off WrestleMania. Sure, you can do an extra few hours for that. But yeah, just to have like almost 6 hours every year, that's too much. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I mean, Ring of Honor and New Japan, hats off to them. They got in there.
They did it, yeah. What an amazing, like, they broke that up. Like, WWE lost it. They lost their history. They lost their first home base.
Yeah, I know. It's just amazing. And then with AEW, I mean, who knows? Oh, they could run in there now too. You never know what they're gonna do. But I really think they're the new ticket in town. They're the hot topic right now. But like, let's hope for the sake of everyone, they can keep their momentum going. But I just, from what I'm just reading and seeing and hearing, and almost watching in different ways, it seems like a lot of money's gone out the window before this thing is even getting off the ground. I mean, just astronomical money. I think they're paying some of these guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And what are you going to get? I mean, are you going to get the longevity out of some of these guys? I don't know. I don't think Chris Jericho. I mean,
No, but, you're going to have, like, a lot of these, like, other guys, too. I mean, oh, my God, here's the problem. I can't name one. Well, you're going to have, like, Britt Baker. You're going to have... I think they're going to, like... They're really going to, like, bring the women to the forefront, too, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good start. And it's interesting, too. Like, Angelina Love and Velvet Sky debuted in Ring of Honor. I was like, wow, those are two women that started, like, the wrestling revolution back when we were watching, TNA. Like, maybe those would be some, like, women I'd try to get for, AEW. They're not that old, and they're veterans.
Right.
But maybe they didn't want to go. I don't know what the deal was, but it's gonna be neat now because they're gonna be like the new kid on the block, and they're gonna have the big deep pockets, so they can steal a lot of talent. But
it's true.
Yeah, like, I don't really know. I can name you a few that I know and I've heard of, but I can't maybe name you after like 5 or 6 names. I don't know. I forget.
That's already not associated with the company.
Yeah, it's like, I can name you Kenny Omega, Jericho, Cody Rhodes, Young Bucks, and Kazarian and Daniels, and that's all I remember.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with anyone.
Yeah, I mean for internet fans and diehard fans of certain promotions, it's like a lot of it's a lot of names to them, but the average fan, it's like who? So, I mean, but that every company starts off like that too, and then they build a name. So, we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, if they're on TV in a few months, it doesn't really connect. I don't know. They might have to reevaluate with what they're gonna do. But just time will tell. But
right,
I'm interested to see like what the starting contract is. Like, what is the bare minimum someone is making there? Is it 60,000, 70,000, 80,000?
Man, I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. You're like, okay, now some of these names are starting to come back to me. Okay. Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta. I'm going through the list right here. Like Aja Kong.
I can't believe she's still wrestling. I mean, like, I thought she was long gone. I mean, she has to be in like 50s.
Hey, she can still,
she can still go.
Her fist before someone's face. That's all right.
Yeah, more power to her. That's one I just would never think would ever be in an American programming ever again.
Right. Excalibur, Justin Roberts. There we go.
Yeah.
Glacier's going to be in the Overtop Battle Royale, and good for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's buddies with Cody, so, he'll get... And see, some of these guys can be good trainers. I think Glacier could.
Yeah, Billy Gunn.
Yeah, Billy Gunn. I think Daniels, once he retires. There's some names there that can help the younger guys go.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be neat to see how this all plays out. Um, Surprised they didn't sign like Sean Mooney or somebody else, like a backstage guy.
Oh, I guess. Well, hey, Tom Parker could definitely do something.
Yeah, Don Parker needs some work. Come on.
Right? Yeah. I refuse to fly. I refuse to drive down to West Virginia for 2 hours. But hey, I could take the weekend and fly out to Chicago.
Sure.
Or it's not me, Don Parker. Ha ha
Yeah,
ha.
Don Parker, man. Yeah, this
Don
is
Parker would totally do it.
challenge to any promoters out there. Get Don Parker on announcing your card. It's worth it.
Right. I'll do a good job. He'll do a good job. Excuse me. I'm blowing up my own spot here. What's going on?
Oh, come on.
I don't know.
Well, I think,
That's what I say to that.
well, a lot of people are joking too about this place. They're just saying it's a T-shirt company, but
Which they are right. I mean,
Yeah.
they have
to a
to.
degree.
You have to put on a show first.
Yeah,
Even though what's the name of their show even?
which one? The next one coming up?
And not Double or Nothing. I mean, like if they're gonna be on TV, what's the name of the show?
Oh, yeah, I don't know yet. I heard one name and I honestly forgot. It wasn't that good.
No, it definitely wasn't. They're never that good.
Yeah. But, I think what they're doing is, they're having their weekly or bi-weekly episodic, like, YouTube show. That's keeping people interested. It's making a statement, but my problem is, like, the first, All In was centered around Cody Rhodes and his history, and they're piggybacking off the fact that his dad won the NBA title, and they wanted to keep going with that, and I get it, but I don't want this to be always centered around Cody Rhodes, and if it starts to go in that direction, you're losing me. So.
I hear you on that, but
Yeah.
at least he didn't main event. That's all. At least he didn't main event.
Yeah. I just don't want to, this is the problem with some wrestlers. Once they get into power, they start, hogging all the spotlight, and, you got to be careful of that, too, so.
Right.
But it, yeah, it'll be neat to see. I think we should probably watch it just to see, how this goes. But after that, I kind of want to just see the show. I don't really care so much for the pay-per-views. I want to see the weekly show to see what they do. And go from there.
Right. Well, actually, on that day, I'm going to IWC and Chikara. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, maybe we can get it the next day. I won't want,
Right.
Yeah. We got plenty of time to watch it, and which nice it's on a holiday weekend. So.
Oh, that changes everything.
Yeah.
The tides are turning.
Oh, they are. And speaking of everything, I have to say, we talked about a few times, on our podcast about the NWA. I tell you what, the last year they've really gained my interest.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, the whole thing has just been interesting. I mean, today, even earlier today,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some bad news, but
Yeah.
Jazz is no longer NWA Women's Champion. She vacated the title.
And she's honestly been that champion for it seems like almost a decade. I mean,
Yeah.
I think through just a lack of promoting her. But, yeah, I was very surprised about that. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, I mean, we cut a lot of jokes about, Tim Storm.
Yeah.
About being champion for how long, but no, I mean Jazz. I mean ECW original,
Mm-hmm.
2 WrestleManias under her belt. No one talks about that.
No, nobody says a word.
Right. So the fact that she really did have this title for a really long time in the modern era, to almost no, publicity about that's really shocking. Just to have her up and leave. It's even more shocking. And not really saying anything why at this point. Contract, injury. Who knows?
I know. It is shocking because,
Aliens invading.
could be. I mean, it's just one of those things where, well, now you finally got somebody, Billy Corgan, that owns the company that can actually get you going where you need to be again. And it's well, not right now. Who knows? We'll find out
That's
more.
all right. You can build another star. That's all right.
Yeah. But I tell you what, this past year, I say the NWA has been able to do something that no other company has been able to do, is make that behind-the-scenes TV show on the internet kind of thing, like the docuseries.
It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, they basically nailed it. They did what Global Force couldn't do, TNA couldn't do, WWE can't do. They did it. They made their brand off of a docuseries. That's how they brought everything back. It was great. It was really interesting to watch. They made you interested in Tim Storm. Now they did a docuseries for All In about the history of the NWA title with Cody and his dad and his legacy, and then they had Magnus, and they've been doing it with Magnus, and they're doing it with Jazz, and they were doing it with Willie Mack for a little bit. I think they're still doing it with him, but
Yeah, he's still North American champ, right?
yeah. So they're
Or not? Is he North American or United States?
North American, which I don't understand because I think it's just the United States title.
Logo? Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I mean, just call it the U.S. title. Like I don't get it.
right.
But
Yeah, I don't see Canada and Mexico on that.
yeah, I don't get it. So unless they legally can't call it that, but that wouldn't make any sense though. But
Yeah. No, well, it's wrestling. Nothing
yeah,
makes sense.
no. So I mean, they've been doing an excellent job with the docuseries, and through the whole year they've been ramping it up. And like I read that Billy Corgan has a 20-year plan. So I always say, well, let's compare AEW and the NWA and see which philosophy works better. The old way where they sign a whole bunch of talent, put a lot of money in, get on TV and all that, or the Billy Corgan way where we take our time, build the stories, rebuild the brand, and go from there. So
What are some other stories besides in the NWA that's not involving a title though?
the Josephus story where he's like just coming out of nowhere.
Okay.
It was focused somewhat around the title, but then it was focusing more on Tim Storm too and his feud with him. I'm trying to think who else they kind of built. Most of it has been around the title, but Josephus is one person that kind of came out of there. Um,
Because here's the catch: if it's nothing but, just a title like the NWA World Heavyweight Title,
yeah.
I think I'll be all right with that.
Yeah, I mean, you're telling the story, and they showed how it was defended, what, in House of Hardcore, or CZW, and
Yeah.
all these different places. So they're rebuilding the name of it, and that's what the original intent of the NWA title was, to go from territory to territory that was under the NWA bandwagon and defend the belt. So that's what they're doing. They're not all under the NWA bandwagon,
That
anymore.
blows
But
my mind that Nick Aldis beat Tim Storm for the NWA World Heavyweight Title at Cage of Death.
yeah, I mean, who would have ever said that in a million years?
Right. That happened at a Combat Zone wrestling show.
Yeah, you'd never think of that.
One of their most violent pay-per-views of the year. One of the most violent companies in the world. We're also gonna, defend the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. It's like the King of the Deathmatch tournament in '94. Like Dan Severn was on that card.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Just so random,
It was incredibly random. He didn't obviously participate in any death matches, but it's just like you just kind of like stop and like do a double take. Like, what's going on here?
And they did build that feud a little bit because that Japanese wrestler that he feuded with, he was at another show that Dan Severn was at, scouting him out. So but the problem is no one would ever see this footage because it was never aired anywhere.
Right.
So it's like they were essentially doing the same thing back then, 20-something years ago, but no one ever really knew about it, except a very small, minute group of, I'm sure, of tape traders, back in the day, and collectors. That's about it. So it was hard to follow, very hard to follow the NWA. I mean, it was pretty much almost dead at that point. I mean, it's dead on TV. It was dead to the fans. But now, it's got life again because of the internet. The internet's a beautiful thing with that. It can bring anything back when you think about it.
That's true.
And now we have, all this, and that's how they build All In. Who would ever thought, like, the hottest pay-per-view of last year would feature the NWA title in it? What? I mean, if people would ever say that to you, they'd be like, what are you talking about?
Right. They did that old school. They had like,
Yeah.
everyone had like their team, their coaches.
Yeah, I really like that. And
That was pretty cool.
Jeff Jarrett didn't belong anywhere near that, but okay. I didn't understand that at all, but whatever. But yeah, I liked everybody else with the coaches. Like I thought, it made perfect sense. I really liked that. But
Was that like when Jeff Jarrett was handing out tacos, or?
well, he's piggybacking again with the Fight Network to, produce that show or whatever, help produce it. So that's where I think he came in. But it's just like one of those things where like just stop. But I mean, he's back in WWE. Sam Shaw's in WWE. That was he was with Aldis too, I believe. Yeah. So a lot of people just they come and go so quick. But Sam Shaw was kind of sticking with the NWA, but then he got he went to WWE. So it's like you got to sign these guys up. If not, they're gone. So I don't know so much if Billy Corgan really cares about signing a lot of guys. I mean, I think he's just right now, I mean, I listened to what he said. He's not doing the traditional, like, he could get 2 hours of TV and sign up a whole bunch of names and throw a lot of money out. He's not doing that, so I think
Right.
but see, I think it can semi backfire too because if you don't probably do like something like that eventually, the people might go away. I'm not saying they will, but I think he's doing everything right so far, so I'm sticking around. I mean, he brought back the Crockett Cup,
He
so
he picked a good heavyweight champion to represent that company too.
yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's someone that everybody liked Magnus. Everybody always thought that he didn't get a fair shake in TNA, so it's like, well, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and he's a workhorse too.
He is. He's a good wrestler. So yeah.
You know, you know, going to all these weird towns every weekend.
I know it's
For all these
interesting.
weird companies.
Well, and now they're having all these events. Like they had the TNA pop up event for New Year's. They were part of All In. They had the 70th anniversary show. And now they're doing Crockett Cup. So everything's relevant again. I think they're really doing a good job. Um, bringing back the awareness of the NWA. Like the anniversary show, they'd have those off and on, but now I think that's gonna be a traditional thing. Crockett Cup's back. That was huge in the '80s. People love that. It's just too bad they can't do like the Bash or something. Like the Great American Bash tour. That was huge too. People love that.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Or something similar that they used to do. Maybe I'm sure he's trying. He's trying to figure it out. So much. I mean, the Bash tour. I don't know if you'd be able to pull that off. Yeah, that's a little bit down the line. I think just with name power and stuff. But hey, then again, stranger things have happened. So who knows? It could be next year. I don't know if WWE still owns a trademark and all that to it, but um, it'll be neat to see. So I always tell people online when I talk to them, in our group and on our page, and people talk to me in other groups. I always say, well, let's see how AEW and let's see how the NWA, let's see where they're at in 20 years. We'll see whose theory might have been right and whose theory might have been wrong. So, I mean, as far as like the NWA commentary team, I really don't know if they have one. They kind of just go off of whoever's. I know Jim Cornette was a part of it a little bit, and so was Tony Schiavone for the anniversary show. But I think they kind of go with whoever's, whatever company they're with at the time. So, but I think they're gonna have to get some more star power and stuff over time. But I think that'll come.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, things are still looking up, so which is great.
Yeah, I mean, in Crockett Cup, I mean, I even flat out asked the NWA, like, why don't you bring Crockett Cup back? And they actually said they did have Crockett Cup a couple times. It just wasn't like on a pay-per-view or anything. So they've had the Crockett Cup before, but now this is like a mainstream Crockett Cup, so it's back in the eyes of many. So we'll see. 8 teams are involved this time, and Rock and Roll Express is in it. A lot of other teams, so it'll be good.
God, they did some wild crap.
Yeah. I mean, and they're still relevant too. They're in their 60s going.
Oh
God
my
bless them.
God, Ricky Morton did a Canadian Destroyer.
And he was the NWA light heavyweight champion, or the junior heavyweight champion a few years ago, so, why not? They were in the Hardy compound for that Battle Royal thing. Yeah. So, hey, why not?
I mean, my God. Whew.
I know.
It's just amazing. It's just hey, man, if you want it bad enough, they got lucky because, yeah, Ricky was hurt for the longest time, but the fact that, they still have, this longevity.
Yeah.
Just, astounding. Just astounding.
Yeah, they're riding off their legacy, and they're doing pretty well, So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
and another company that I've been seeing that's on the rise and the rebirth again is, I talked about them before, but it's MLW. They're back. Honestly, they're I think they're decades ahead of TNA almost right now. It's so funny to watch it because it's like, wow, they just came back 2 years ago and they already look better than TNA, and they're talking about doing a pay-per-view, and I'm sure they'll expand more as they go. But geez, it's like Impact's fallen so far, and it's like they just blend in with everybody else now. It's really bad. And people tell me all the time, oh, it's better, the quality. Yeah, I'm sure it is, but I just don't care anymore. But MLW, they came back after almost a 15-year hiatus or whatever, and they're just right in the hunt. So I've watched them. Do I say I love them? I'd say no, but I don't think they're horrible. They got some talent. But
great.
I mean, that Pierre Ouellette, I mean, he got signed by Ring of Honor, I think, for coming back and being a part of MLW. So it's an interesting character he does. He does a Frankenstein thing. I mean, I watched him in MLW. I was like, but boy, that bump he took at that New Japan show in Madison Square Garden. Oh,
He's done that. He's done a lot of crazy stuff.
yeah. I was like, man, that's gotta hurt though. Even if you know how to fall. I mean, falling from that height on a mat. Oh, good night. But I mean, MLW, they got the Bulldogs. Oh no, not the Bulldogs. Excuse me, the Hart Foundation. A lot of talent is over there now, and they're starting to make waves. So Tony Schiavone was announcing for them before. He took a little break, and now they have Jim Cornette. So I think they had War Games too this last year, um, and I thought that was pretty cool. But I heard they sold the rights to the WWE, which I thought was a mistake.
Yeah, yeah. It's not anything. The WWE is a mistake.
Yeah, I really would. If I was them, I would have kept the War Games, or at least sold it to Cody Rhodes, because at least Cody Rhodes, if they're gonna do it, at least it's not WWE. The WWE can't own everything. Too bad. Sometimes somebody else can do something.
That's right. Thumb their nose.
Yeah.
Meh. Yeah. Go find. Go scout some more talent for us to take. Get Lufisto in the damn next Mae Young Classic for friggin' sake. I mean, my lord. I tried to clean up my language there, but really, that's all she wants. She's been everywhere else, hasn't been in WWE. Just give her this cup of coffee. Who cares? Just let her have it. Let her have it. Let her have it. Who's it gonna hurt? It's not gonna hurt anyone.
No.
You're gonna do a fourth one.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting times we live in right now, and I think the forerunner is AEW, and there's a couple other companies that are interested to see what they're going to do, and I want to see who they're going to work with too, like what working relationships they'll have.
Right. Yeah.
Because I mean, NWA pretty much buddied up with Ring of Honor very quickly, in New Japan, so that was smart. So we'll see how that all ends up. But it's an exciting time, I think, again, in wrestling. From a TV sense, it's not thriving, but from a on-demand internet streaming sense, it's on fire.
And that's the catch though, because everything has to be on demand.
Yeah.
I can't sit down in front of my TV every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. I got things I need to do. I got I just got a lot of stuff I need to do. I mean, I can't devote an hour a week. On one go. If I was in the Game of Thrones, I'd do the same thing.
Well, and that's the thing. There's so many companies now, and it's not like there's less than there's more than there was before. It's just there's more ways to watch them and finally get access to them. Besides just downloading something or finding it on the internet through YouTube or their own personal website. You can stream it now. They have shows you can find on the Fight Network or other places like that. I guess what High Spots, they do live shows too, and some other places.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even oh my god, if you find a company, if you just type this in, it's not Fight. I think it's not even on what's on. What High Spots is on.
Mm-hmm.
But you can if you find a company, they might have a streaming service.
Yeah.
Fight Society and Angel Gate have a streaming service now.
Everybody does. I think that's a new thing, to get people interested,
Right.
Now, since it's our 100th episode, what was one of your favorite episodes that we did? I wanted to ask you that.
Jeez. Yeah, I really can't say. I really can't say because I just, I love, talking to you. I'm glad we started this, just sitting around, just talking wrestling, it's fun.
Yeah, and originally, I wanted to do one where we actually videoed it, but I think the problem is it's hard to do video with audio and all that, and it just gets to be so difficult, and then getting everybody together and all that, I think maybe down the line eventually, but it's easier to podcast.
You need a studio. Yeah,
it's just so much easier.
It's not like Wrestling Roundtable. But
yeah. I'd have to say for me, talking to Eric Santa Maria, that was one of my favorite ones. The $5 wrestling guys too. I thought that was fun.
$5 week. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was good.
that was fun too.
Wrestling with Death, for
Yeah,
sure.
talking to Harry, really nice guy. Um, I think too, just talking with you and Tyler, it's just so much fun. Just going over things and just joking about it. I think with me and Tyler just talking about Global Force and what a disaster that was. It was a lot of fun because every week they were just giving us material to laugh about because it was getting worse as we went, and Tyler was talking about gold and stuff. It was so bad. We found like that commercial about gold that Jeff Jarrett was trying to pitch. I'm like, oh my goodness.
And that's the thing, though. Like I said, this last time we recorded, like these podcasts are very interesting time capsules.
They
So
are.
yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I'm glad we did this too.
Yeah, from 2010 till now. Um, there's all we talk about a whole bunch of different things. We talk about jobbers. That was our first one.
Yeah,
And that was fun too. I love talking about jobbers. But yeah, we talked for everywhere from like ECW, WCW, jobbers, WWE, Ring of Honor. We covered Global Force, Impact, everything. We covered everybody. Um, and I think we even did Lucha Underground. I'm pretty sure. I don't
yeah.
think
I think were those the ones with Jason?
it might have been. It might have
Yeah,
been. I know with him we talked a lot about I think it was like Evolve and the Pro Wrestling Gorilla and stuff and a few other ones. So we definitely talked about it. I mean a lot of it was just TNA too. They gave us so much material and it was just and I think a lot of people when they listened to our podcast they understood our frustrations because it was just so hard to watch that product and try to be positive about it because anybody with common sense could see how bad it was.
Oh yeah, no
Ugh.
doubt.
I mean, gosh, they really sunk. I mean, I'd say their prime was probably '04, '05 till about, mm, I mean, two different periods till about probably '07. Then I'd say after that, it resurfaced again. Where it started, they brought Hogan and them in. That piqued my interest till about, it was 2010 to about 2012. Then after that, there's no prayer. But I mean, people could say there's no prayer when as soon as they walked in the door, Hogan and all them, and that's fine too. But at least for me, it was interesting to see what they were going to do. I actually enjoyed watching their product because after a while, like in '08, I was getting bored with it. I'm like, all right, what are we doing here? What's the
I
plan?
I lasted 6 weeks under the Hogan regime of
Yeah,
TNA.
I
I was
didn't
like,
mind it. I was
ah,
interested
I
to see
had
what they were doing
problems.
with it. Yeah, but
I had problems.
they're running into problems with like consistency and storytelling, and we'll do it. I'd like to do a whole episode of how that all went wrong, but yeah, I just
I
yeah,
still have those DVDs somewhere. I burned them. I should go back and watch them.
you should. I just watched a few
Oh,
from 2010 and 11, and seeing the talent was on there and what they just didn't do with it is just amazing to me. But sometimes I feel like, well, were there guys that the guys they banked on were they really as good as they thought they were? That's another problem too. We could talk about that, but yeah, I
I
mean,
like to I like to get more guests too.
yeah, I really would like to. I like to hear other sides of the story too, because we only just see it from our perspective. We don't, we're not behind the scenes, but you can just kind of see as things fold out, unfold that, there's a lot of problems with that company. I mean, just, oh my goodness.
Well, I love discovering new talent. I love going to a show, and if it's a company I've never been to before, if there's not a name I recognize, I always look for. There's at least one match. There's one match that's gonna blow your mind, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. That Rise show. Oh, I've been to WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was the greatest show I've ever been to. On the
See?
sheer like scale of things,
Yeah.
doesn't even hold a candle to that Rise show that we went to in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Rise was amazing. I think we saw. I was introduced to Gabby Gilbert, uh, Riley Shepard. We saw Tessa Blanchard like wrestle 3 times, and she just blew my mind. Karen Q was awesome. Zoe Sagai had a couple tag matches. The Paradise Lost, managed by Rosemary. Got some very cool video of that too. By the way, I should post that on New School Republic on Facebook.
Yeah.
But that was the best show I've ever been to.
Wasn't
And
it?
then
Go ahead.
And that Rise show led to me going to Angel Gate, and there's like, wow, there's a lot of talented, women out there for sure. I know you don't like women's wrestling, but like, man, I don't think you found the right wrestler though yet. I think you're still thinking of like stuff from the '80s where they're just punching and throwing.
Well, the problem with it is they always try to get serious and they just screw up a lot. No, it's not everybody, but you just see it all the time, and it's just like, like Medusa and some of those Japanese women were good in the '90s. Um, they were good wrestlers, but then you see, he talks about like, you know, the WWF and their revolution, and that's fine, but I'm not interested. And this rise,
Well,
um,
I'm sick of the WWE stuff.
yeah,
We gotta put the kibosh on that.
Yeah, I mean TNA did the Women's Revolution in 2007 and 8, and I mean they were having their own pay-per-views shortly after that, so this isn't anything new. That's what drives me crazy too. TNA's been more revolutionary than WWE in a lot of aspects. They did their own network years ago before WWE even did that. They had their own internet network. That was nothing new, but no one really remembers it or thinks about it, but it was there. They had their own service you could buy, and it was on the internet. So a lot of these things that WWE takes credit for, other companies have done, way before they did. But yeah, this Rise, what's the deal with them? Do they have pay-per-views? I mean, are they getting the word out? What's going
Yeah,
on?
they have iPay-per-views.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I mean, they're getting
they
there.
yeah. I mean, like they still have the their TV show Rise. It's online only, but that's still
Yeah.
going strong. Yeah.
What's interesting, remember too, we were talking about like Global Force, how we were so excited when it started, but man, it just went nowhere. And it's like it's just unbelievable how that all came to be. It's 5 years later, around the same time, and they're nowhere to be seen. Their last show they did was in a high school gym in January. It was like some special event for something, and
Yeah,
yeah,
they could stay.
yeah,
They
I
could stay
mean,
far away.
I think we should have known better right from the start when we started seeing the piggybacking and nothing really materializing after about a year. It's just like, now they're using it. The spin on it is like they're gonna develop relationships with Fight and help host these pay-per-views on the Fight Network, but he's already in WWE again, so who knows?
Right. Yeah. Anything could happen though. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting
Hey,
though. Like the owner of
it's
TNA.
professional wrestling.
Oh, I know. Everybody goes back to Vince. I've learned that's pretty much what happens. Get that last payday.
Well, hey, yeah, if you can get it right,
Yeah, that's so true. But yeah, it's an interesting time in wrestling. A lot of new flourishing companies, a lot of returning companies. It's an interesting time, and we'll have to see how this all plays out. But let's hopefully we'll be around for another 200, 300 more episodes.
Yeah, let's do it for
Uh,
sure. And you know what? I kind of want to make an announcement here.
okay.
Okay, so we're at a nice round number. We're at 100. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've been talking about this for literally years, but it's very hard to get iTunes off the ground and to put your backlog of shows onto a service like that.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, if you want to go back and look through all our episodes, and we'll make this announcement too at the start of the next one, go on our YouTube page, go check them all out. 100 episodes, dozens of hours of good quality podcast material right there. But I think 101, that's going directly up on our brand new SoundCloud for
Wow.
sure. Maybe it's SoundCloud, maybe it's Podbean, but it's going to be something. And we're going to get back on this iTunes thing. We're going to start off with 101. We're going to make it an announcement. It's going to be great. We're going to celebrate. We're going to have a Jinsky. It's going to be huge.
That's awesome. Yeah, we need to. I
Yeah.
think. I think it'll be great. Just because, like, a lot of people when they ask me where you at, I say, well, we're just on YouTube now. And I guess like people don't think about YouTube and a podcast, and that makes sense. Like they usually it's just video stuff, but that's what. But see that it goes back to our original concept too, of wanting to do the video part of this show. That's why we
kinda
always
did
kind of
do
went on there.
video. We did Periscope for the longest time, which was fine.
Yeah, and we did do. Me and Tyler did do a few. I think video ones. We talked about ECW when it came back years ago. We did do a podcast that was a video one. I could dig it out and find it, but it was always just hard to do because of production wise. But yeah, I mean, this is exciting, man. Thanks for the announcement. We're gonna be somewhere. We're gonna be on a place where we can do podcasts.
Right, absolutely. And man, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be fun. The future is bright. You better wear shades.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for sharing the 100th episode with me.
Thank you for sharing, all those other episodes too.
No problem.
Mwah.
All right, well, I'm Chris.
I'm Petrie.
Good night.